Up, everybody, and welcome back to the Rewind here on the Wayward World podcast. I am Sid, and today I'm very excited to take a break from drag for a little bit and dive deep into the world of burlesque. She was voted as one of the most influential burlesque performers by 21st century burlesque, not just in the United States of America, but the entire freaking world. That's crazy. She does burlesque, she does dance, theatrics, mentoring, like anything that you could probably think of, this person has done. And she's done it all over the world and has worked with some of the most influential drag artists and Grammy award winning performers. Please welcome Ruby Mimosa. How are you doing, Ruby?
Hi, I'm good, Sid. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of on the mends of a cold right now. So if I sound a little hoarse, that's why.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I feel like there's something going around. So yeah,
Oh, there's definitely going something around. I work as a healthcare worker, and we had to go back to mask because of all the stuff that's going around.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're okay and on the mend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How are you doing? Like, you've just got off a very big tour recently.
Yeah, yes. I just finished, we finished the Jinx and Dela holiday show, just like a 2 month long run of shows that span like 33 cities. There's about like 38 shows, and it's like for 8 weeks. So finished that and took a little respite with my family, and now I'm back in Seattle and kind of like settling in. It feels kind of weird to settle in and be trying to ground myself and like just be back in it. So yeah.
Yeah, 2 months of just doing the same thing nonstop. That must be so crazy.
It's so crazy. It's so wild. It's really fun. It's just an incredibly special experience. So I feel blessed to be able to do it and like play around with my friends all over the place for 2, 3 months. We start like rehearsals in October, so we have about 3 weeks or so of rehearsals, and then like the show, and then we're done. And it feels weird to be done because we're just like, okay, bye, I guess.
Yeah, that's that's just theater.
Right,
You just do the same thing over and over, and then all right, this is the last show of the day, last show of the tour.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, you did get to visit my little town of Spokane, Washington. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I was there. I saw you perform. I was shocked that you were there. I had no idea that you were in the tour. I was like, oh my God, these people don't know who Ruby Mimosa is.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of it. Like um, I've worked with Ben for a really long time, and so it's really fun to continue our friendship and our professional um, work together in this way. And it's really fun. And it's weird, kind of like not to do burlesque for 2 months. Like I was thinking about, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put on pasties again soon.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that's weird.
yeah. Well, Well, let's get into it. You're known as the Effervescent EntetTEASER. So why don't you tell my audience who is Ruby Mimosa?
Well, Ruby Mimosa is kind of just a heightened version of my normal self. Like she's bubbly, she's fun, she's playful, she's sexy. I feel like her confidence and sexiness um, are just from her being like her natural state. It's not like she has to necessarily try. She's pretty playful and likes to like play around with the audience and like be a little cheeky and silly. I'm pretty athletic, so I use a lot of like dance and athleticism to I bring it to all my acts, and I think within that, it's just like very fun and playful and sexy.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot when I was like there are so many videos of you and your like performances. I think one of my favorite ones is one that you recently did with the New Zealand breakdancer lady. You know what
Oh
I'm
my
talking? Yeah.
God.
That I like looking at some of your stuff was it kind of opened my eyes a little bit because always thought burlesque was just sexy, sexy like a striptease type of
Mhm.
thing. It's like it's theater, it's striptease. I didn't know there was so much history in the campiness of burlesque.
Super campy and super political, right? It's like us putting our bodies on stage is inherently like political because we're asking you to like take it in, whatever that is, right? Whatever body or gender, um, race, size that you are. It's just like putting that on stage and also playing with like politics and like what's going on in the world. I mean, granted, like Ray Gun is not like political, but like bringing that to burlesque was like super fun and really silly. And I mean, it's pop culture, right? So she's a meme, and we're just messing around and playing with it. Also, it was that whole experience of breakdancing in the Olympics was just like so beyond that it was almost like we needed to poke fun at it because it's so ridiculous.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I love I love that act. We actually I was like, can I even like is it like okay to like burlesque something that's like it's like not from our country or anything, but we asked like reached out to like some burlesque like Australian burlesque performers. We're like, hey, do you think we can like do this? And I was like, oh my God, please do. Like everybody is making fun of this. It's nuts. So it felt like good to get like that like okay from them. And then I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. No, it was so funny, especially like that whole moment was just like it was shocking to see. It reminds me of some of the drag queens that I see and like the delusion of them just like they're eating it all up. They think they are the best in the world. And you're just sitting there and you're like you're just living because like what the hell is going on?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I you but like that's not just the only thing too. You also do other like campy stuff in there. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say because I got really excited here for a second because like there's so much. How did you get introduced to burlesque? Like where did it all started? Like rewind back to the
Oh,
beginning.
my origin story.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's see. So I it's actually like a pretty cute story, like fun story. But so I mean, growing up, I like was put into ballet as like a child, like a 3-year-old babe. So I started like doing ballet from like a very long time. And then my grandparents and I, we always watched like old musicals, like Singing in the Rain and Guys and Dolls were like some of like my favorite musicals growing up. And I think those really put an imprint on me in terms of like showgirls and like the stage and like this old Hollywood glamour that I idealized. And then another little thing growing up, this I think it kind of relates, but maybe it doesn't. There was this like landmark that I use. You know, when you're a kid and you're just kind of like, oh, I need to like to get home, I need to turn at this like space and then get home. And we didn't have maps or phones like cell phones then. So the club was called Club Roxa, and it was like neon lights and like all these things. And like I found out later it was a strip club, but I like based how I got home and where I was going around Club Roxa. So actually, I really should just like start a night called Club Roxa.
Oh,
It's a good name.
it's
Okay,
very good. Very good name.
I digress. So anyway, so I feel like those three like things are kind of like the trifecta in a way of like an origin story of like, okay, like I I don't know. I had like a fascination with like these neon lights and like showgirls and like old musicals, and then also I danced as a kiddo. So I moved to Seattle in 2006, and I was working at a store called Betsy Johnson. She's like a famous designer from New York. And so she had a store, she had a handful of boutiques, and I transferred from the Hawaii location to the Seattle location. And the group of gals that worked there, we would, a lot of like the clients were burlesque performers. So people from like, well, like, yeah, from like the Can, like the Bombshells, there were like just tons of different people. And so I kind of got introduced here and there, just like working at the store. And uh, we were invited by Paula, the Swedish housewife, to go see a burlesque show. So we made it like, oh, we'll do it like a store kind of like going out sort of like bonding thing.
Uh,
So like this, I think there's only like six of us that work there. So we all went to a burlesque show in Seattle. It was called the Catwalk, and it was in Pioneer Square. And that was my first burlesque show. It was, yeah, it was like in 2006. And it was Paula the Swedish Housewife, Orchestra La Pow, which consisted of Caleb Kerr, he has hosted so much of a ton of burlesque shows in Seattle. There's like Ernie Von Schmaltz, Jay Von Stratton, Lily Verlaine. I think Inga was in the show, Indigo. I think maybe like Julie Atlas Muse from New York. Anyway, there were all these people in the show, and I was like, oh, that's really fun. Like, I love this. So I we kind of went to a few other shows here and there. And at the same time, I was really into like swing dancing and like the rockabilly culture or community. And so I would go to this venue called the Tractor Tavern and go like swing dancing and listen to music and meet new friends. And one day, or one evening, there were these like two go-go dancers that were performing with Marshall Scott Warner. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're beautiful, they're amazing. And I had already met one of them. So then after they were done, we were all chatting. And we just had a great time. And one was Kitty Baby, and the other person was Jay Von Stratton. So we kind of all kicked it and hung out. And I ended up like befriending them, following them on MySpace and everything. And then flash forward to January of 2007, I saw the Atomic Bombshells. They were at the Triple Door performing with Dita Von Teese. And so the Betsy girls, we all went to the Triple Door as like a really like fancy outing. And then that show, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like what I want to do. Seeing like just the beautiful stage and like choreographed routines and like really elegant like striptease. Still really campy, still really cute and fun. It just was like incredible. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to do that. And so I recognized Jamie. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jamie's in this show. So I MySpace messaged her after and I was like, Jamie, I really want to take a class. Like, what do you recommend? And she's like, oh, you should take a class from Miss Indigo Blue. So I signed up for burlesque classes. I signed up for just a weekly dance class called Bump and Grind. And that was like, I think in like March of 2007. So I was like taking classes and yeah, like a few classes in, Indigo was like, pulled me aside after class. She's like, "Oh, would you want to like do this like more professionally?" And I was like, "Okay." I didn't know what that meant or anything, so I was just like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever." She's like, "Okay, well, I already gave Kit and LaRue your number. You should give her a call." And I was like, "All right." So I gave her a call. We set up a private audition, and then I auditioned, and then got in. And I was like, "Oh, I have to make a stage name." So made a stage name, blah, 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 and then created an act with Kitten. And I had my first show with the Bombshells at the Triple Door in August of 2007. So it was like I moved to Seattle in 2006 in like June, and then like a year later, I was like on that stage, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then that's it. Like I was like teaching the class that I was taking, so I was teaching Bump and Grind at the Academy of Burlesque, and then yeah, performing with the Bombshells. And I was working and stuff. Like performing wasn't as like really consistent as it is for me now, but yeah, it was wild. Like that show was like iconic. Like it was my first show, and we also had Paula, the Swedish housewife, who was like the first burlesque performer I had met in Seattle because she would shop at Betsy, and then also Wild Cherry, just a burlesque legend from New Orleans, and like uh, Kitten LaRue, like she's from New Orleans, and so she like brought her out, and it was just like an incredible, beautiful, special show, and like what a gift.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's a whirlwind. Like like you just moved to Seattle and like 1 year later, like, oh, I guess where my life's completely changed.
I know. Yeah, exactly. It was so awesome.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. Like when I moved I'm from Saudi Arabia. Like I was raised there. I'm half Saudi. So when I like moved to the States, it really took me a long time to really find my footing in my own art scene here in Spokane. Like I would say like 10 years. Like it took a long, long time. And like hearing like just how quickly like your process went like that's so cool. And
It's
especially and you saw like Dita Von Teese. That's the one burlesque performer that I'm familiar with, like through the world of drag and stuff. Like I know how legendary she is, and like I I get like how someone like so influential would be able to like inspire you. Um, what about the name Ruby Mimosa? Like, were you like I guess like Mimosa is bubbly and charming and like as your personality is, but was that the first name that you like picked out of the hat, or did you have a couple
No,
other
it
names?
wasn't. It actually took me a while. And I went back and forth with friends for a while. Like, we were like, okay, is it Bunny? Is it Bunny something? Like, I don't know. We were like playing around with things like, should I keep my Muggle name and like use that? But my birthstone is a ruby. So that kind of like spoke to me. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll use like my birthstone. And then the mimosa part. I was mostly inspired by, there's a performer from New York named Dirty Martini, and she's incredible, iconic. She actually performs a ton with Dita. Anywho, I was like, oh, I love the idea of using like a cocktail or a drink in my name. And back then, I liked mimosas. I mean, I like still do, but I don't drink that much.
That's
It kind of gives me a headache. But yeah, I was like, well, that's kind of cute. And there is a mimosa flower also, which is like really sweet and pretty and pink, and so I feel like those really like worked well together. And actually, my like tagline in the Bombshells was the island flower. So it was like Ruby Mimosa, the island flower. I've changed the tagline since, just for myself, and but I still feel like it all kind of like goes together and makes sense.
oh yeah, absolutely. Tell me about your other inspirations. So when you put on an act, like what goes through your mind as far as like what you want to do in that moment? Because like when you look at your repertoire, it's always something different, but it's still, Ruby Mimosa. It's still campy. It's still, you're teasing the audience. It's a little goofy and stuff like that, and political, as you mentioned at the top of the show. But what kind of goes into your process of like creating an act?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we're always inspired by different things, so it's kind of like just taking the thing that you're inspired by and building on that. So whether it's like a costume piece that's inspiring, or a song that's inspiring, or a color palette, or an idea, just like maybe something going on in the world, like ray gun, you know? So and then just building off of that. So it always like starts with like one thing and then like goes out from there. So it's never like the same process. It's kind of the same process, but it's never like really the same. Like, oh, I have this costume and now I will make an act through this. It's more like could be a song, could be a costume, could be a color, it could be like a concept. Um, so, for instance, like the act that I haven't done for a while that I'll be doing at Grindhouse is it's this kind of like racer girl act, and that one's inspired by the costume. It's like this really cool white like jumpsuit, like mechanic race car jumpsuit, and leotard. And they were both like given to me by Waxy Moon, who's like just incredible, brilliant, absolutely just wonderful human and boylesque performer. And they gave me this set, and I was like, God, I have to do something with this. So, um, like sat on it for a while, and then like wasn't sure. I'm like, okay, I'll make an act with it. And then I was like, well, I don't know what song, and so I would listen to some songs, and sometimes it's just like on the radio, or you hear like a song uh, at a karaoke show or at the grocery store, and you're like, oh my God, that's it. So I heard Kiss's "I Was Made for Loving You," and I was like, oh yeah, like this is it. Like that's the song. Like it's something that like I want to dance to. That's like so fun to like sing and move to, and like people, it's very like recognizable. So yeah, like got that song, edited a little bit, found another track to like put in the front of it, and make it a whole thing. And then I'll like book space at a rehearsal studio and bring all my costume pieces and just kind of like groove around and see what inspires me, like movement wise, like where things should go. And I map everything out and like I write it down, like what I'm doing and see what fits. And it does take a while, but it's really fun once you like lock it in.
Oh, for sure. I think I know what you're talking about with the race suit because I was watching another performance and you did do a kiss. I was made for loving you, like
That's
at the
it. Yeah.
Seattle tattoo like event.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the act. I love that act. I haven't done it for a while, so I'm really excited and I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, it's fitting too because you're working with drag race legend Bosco,
Right. Oh my God, Bosco and like Shea Coulee and
Shea Coulee.
I'm super excited. And like also the Seattle Queens, I totally love like Roan Ruthless and Queen Andrew Scott. I'm just like, it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I know all those. Well, I don't know them personally, but like I know I'm familiar with all those queens, even the Seattle legends there. Like you're working with some so cool, so many cool people. I'm so
I'm
jealous.
I'm so lucky. I feel so blessed.
Mhm.
Oh, I did want to say another thing about at creation, just because like I feel like this is important, or I don't know, not important, but like just on the flip side of like creating something, sometimes you just have to create things out of like necessity. So I have this other act called Call Me, and it's just like I'm like trapped in a telephone cord, and I spend like 4 minutes getting out of a telephone cord to Blondie's Call Me. And it was created during the pandemic when I really didn't have anything. I like I went back home and helped out my grandma for a little bit. And I brought like some costume pieces because we were like doing burlesque karaoke from like the virtual space. And anyway, Bodysuit Presents, which is like Raggedy Randy, Pinot Noir, and Samson Knight. They have a production company, and they were doing a thing for Beehoff, like the virtual Beehoff, and they're like, "We want you to be a part of it. We're going to do a segment called National Hotline, and we're going to send everybody these phones." And the host is going to like call you on the phone, and you have to pick up and like do something with the phone in the act. And I was like, God, I don't have anything, but I have this like little red slingshot bikini. What if I just like get like 75 feet worth of like telephone cord and like wrap it around me with the phone and try and get out of it for 4 minutes? And they were like, oh my God, yes, do that. That's amazing. So just edited some music, put some phone rings, and made it really silly. And it's like one of my favorite acts to do too. So out of necessity and just like all I have is this red slingshot
Yeah.
bikini. um, it just kind of really worked. So that's been a great one.
Yeah, you brought up the pandemic, which I never really like thought about too much because like as someone who used to do theater pretty consistently, like yeah, that was our that was a dark time, the lockdowns.
Oh God, it was hard. It was rough.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I had just committed to like just producing, teaching, and performing. And so I was like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, where do I go? And I mean, thankfully, uh, we had just started burlesque karaoke last or the year before in 2019, and we were like consistent. We were really building a following and having so much fun. And so when the pandemic happened, we were like, oh shit, like what are we gonna do? And Baby and I, we were like committed to making it happen in the virtual space. We're like, well, how can we really make this happen? And thankfully, I think it was Indigo that actually suggested Bo. She was like, you should ask Bo to help you and be kind of like your moderator, like, because he was doing some Dollar Daddy stuff I think beforehand, but it definitely like thank goodness for him and baby. And we like did so many trial things trying to figure out the best way to do like karaoke on Zoom with a live performer. And that really kept us going. Like that was so fun. We had like over 100 people at each show, like singing, tipping, playing. Like it was all donation based. So it was just for people just to come and enjoy and like get their head out of like the news or yeah, it was very rewarding and it got I think it got a lot of people through the pandemic, at least in our sort of world.
Oh no, I can imagine. I mean, this podcast was like as you mentioned before, it was created out of necessity of like connection. Initially, I was interviewing my friends who are like a bunch of artists and stuff like that, but then I would reach out to people like Broadway actors, musicians and stuff like that. We had like the one thing, like the main topic of the show was like, talk about someone or something you're thankful for. And let's just talk about that. Like, and I got to learn about all these people on like such an intimate basis. And this show has kind of gone through a lot of reboots. Now that we're focusing on queer nightlife and like and how much that's meant to me recently. So I get exactly what you're meaning. Like this podcast, like 5 years going into it has pretty much saved me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad you're still doing it. And yeah, you never know like what in what kind of like scary time what's happening, like how beauty and things can be created through that.
Oh yeah, in the next 4 years too. Like I think this show is going to be so important. So
Whew.
I'll just
Yep.
keep going.
Yeah.
Um, as a fellow producer, I'm curious about that aspect of you as well. When did you start getting into production? Because you produce some of the coolest events in Seattle. One of them is my favorite. I haven't actually participated because it's on the weekday, but I did get a chance to see it at Queer Pride, burlesque. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a hard
burlesque
one.
karaoke. I know it's kind of a tongue twister. That's not great for branding, but
It's beautiful. The poster's nice. Uh,
thank you. Yeah, Faggoty Randy did the poster and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I want to like be able to update it, but then I'm like, it looks so good. I don't know. Um, yeah, so like producing that or
like
what
like production in general, like what got you into actually wanting to bring in all these people that you knew and or like you're getting to know for the first time and creating something like of your own out of your own accord.
yeah. Gosh, well, I didn't ever think I would be a producer. It wasn't like on my like top 10 things to do. It was maybe like, oh, maybe like I'm sure I could produce a show, like something. I don't know. And then I started it with like kind of a baby idea. Somebody asked me to produce like kind of like a PG-13 burlesque show. Like not really stripping, but just kind of like a cabaret sort of improv show at the W. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. So it kind of like started forming then where it was just like, oh, I really want to do this like burlesque karaoke show. Maybe this can be like some sort of I'm not thinking of the right word, but like it's like starting point, I guess, as to like, oh, how do I produce a show? So starting there and then yeah, just kind of started like you start one and then you start booking more things. And so I think that one at the W was the first one. And then I was really committed to starting burlesque karaoke, and I was like having a hard time figuring out what venue to do it at. And like a lot of things, sometimes you just like an opportunity presents itself and you just kind of have to roll with it. And after the Jinx and Dela tour one year, we were driving back from Portland, and Kevin Cower, who's like a big nightlife DJ, producer, he's part owner of Massive, which used to be our place. He was the events well, first we were like driving and I was sitting in the front seat with him and we go way back, but we're never that close. So we just were catching up and chatting. And I was like, oh, let me pitch you an idea because I want to know if you know any like good spots to like maybe there's places that I'm not even thinking of that would be a good venue for this show. And he was like, oh yeah. So we chatted about, he's like, it'd be kind of really cool at Queer Bar. Have you been in there yet? And I was like, no, I actually hadn't, even though I lived on the hill. So we went back and forth for a while, and it ended up we ended up like doing the first show there, and it's still there, And I ended up taking the show over as my own a few months after we did it, and it's just been really great. But I'm grateful I get to like work with so many different people, and I think it was more like I wanted to have a show that was like different and fun. There wasn't a lot of improv yet, and I really wanted to like play around more with improv. There was like a couple shows that I did in Seattle that were improv based, and I was like, I want to do this more. So I was like, I want to make a show that has that. And then I want to like work with like not only on my friends, but like all these other people that are really cool in Seattle that I don't get to work with. So it was just like, let's do something fun, something different, something that can be really engaging and interactive so the audience is having fun. I just wanted something that was like really exciting for all parties. So that's kind of how that started. I hope that answers your question.
Oh no, that sounds great. I mean, like whenever I make something, like I basically do it because I have a lot of ideas that need to be that need to be put out there. I feel like or else I'll go crazy. But I love working with my friends. Back when I was doing theater, I produced my own shows. I did a little play um in a bar one time, and that was just such a cool experience having to facilitate um that and doing like meetings and like figuring out the space and stuff like that. And the owner of the bar was so cool about um what was it? They were so cool about us doing it in there. They didn't charge us anything. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And I love burlesque karaoke. Sorry, like it's
I
my
like burlesque karaoke.
area. Yeah. But the way you say it a little bit different. You
I
say
say
it
it like burlesque karaoke.
Burlesque karaoke. There we go. Like
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try saying it like that. I'm gonna, burlesque karaoke. There we go. My English I speak Arabic, so English is my second language.
What, you don't know this like very common word?
Yeah. Um and you work with Baby Van Beasley, like for
Yes.
yeah. I actually have a very I don't know too much about Baby Van Beasley, but I do have a funny story
Okay.
because yeah, as a producer, like you got to go out there, you got to meet people, you got to like shake hands, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I know what you're up to, and I know
Right.
what you're doing and stuff like that. I see Toxic and I see Baby Van Beasley like outside during at night during Queer Pride, and baby Van Beasley was probably, she probably drank a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I came up to both of them. They're both women, married couple. And I came up to them, the man that I am. They have no idea who I am. And baby
Uh-huh.
comes up in front of me and she was ready to fight me because it was
What?
like, yeah, I get it. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm friendly. Like I'm cool. But like, I'm also like a man. Like I
Yeah.
look like a man. It's like I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns and
Yeah.
I feel more femme. But at that moment, I presented as a man. So I was like, oh, I probably freak their shit because they probably get, as women, they probably get harassed all the time. But then I pointed out toxic, like Decepticon tattoo. I know who you are. I know who both of you are. And I just want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
talk to you. She was about
I
ready to
mean,
kick my
that
ass.
makes me get wild. That's so funny. That's so like not her, which is hilarious. But in a way, I can see like I could maybe see being like, yeah, because
She's tough.
she's tough. She's a badass.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite moment doing burlesque karaoke? Like favorite show, like favorite performance. Do you have like one in mind?
A couple come to mind. Yeah, a couple definitely come to mind. I think one of my favorite shows. I don't know why this comes to mind. It was just like so incredible to me. And it sticks out is I think it was maybe before the pandemic, actually. It was Lady Drew Blood, who used to be a roller derby babe, and so she can roller skate really well. So she was in like this kind of like futuristic alien costume, and she was doing an act on roller skates. And then there was just like this incredible opera singer. I think her name is Thunderdyke, which is pretty
Oh,
awesome. Or at least her like karaoke name is Thunderdyke, and she sings this like aria, and like the whole crowd is silent while like I mean normally it's like a pretty like it's loud in there, it's fun, people are singing along, but it was so beautiful, incredible watching like Lady Drew like roller skate while this person sings this like beautiful aria. it, I'll never forget that moment. That was like so captivating. I was like, we have a really special show. Like this is so cool.
oh, that sounds amazing.
It was amazing. People lost their shit after. They were just like, wow, like I'd never seen so much money fly. And I think another really fun show of burlesque karaoke was maybe the first bumper shoot. I think that was like really iconic. I was really proud of that, just to like be invited to be a part of bumper shoot and have the show close out the night for this like area. And we had such a great crowd. The festival was super happy, and also just being on this really cool like crazy catwalk stage with people from the audience singing. So like we were able to capture people from the festival to like sing for us, which can be a little challenging. um, so yeah, I think like that whole performance, I don't remember anything like that stood out at this moment, but just like doing that show was really, I was super proud.
Oh, cool. And when the people are singing, like the karaoke part of it, like are these just like random people that like show up, or do they sign up in advance? Like how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, at our show on Wednesdays, they submit their songs to the KJ that night.
Mhm.
Like just kind of like a regular karaoke show. You go, you submit a song, and then you sing it. Um, so Baby does curate kind of the flow of the show, so it's not like two fast songs or three fast songs back to back to back. So there's some like good flow, and we're not tiring out the performers,
Right.
because we perform to more than one song back to back. So it's like these elements of like long form, kind of drawing out more of the teas. We used to do like three songs in a row, which was definitely challenging, but I also kind of love that too. Um, but yeah, the people are random. It's all improv. We don't know what they're gonna sing. So we just kind of go with it, which I think is the element for us that's surprising. There's an element for the audience that's exciting and surprising. Um, and for the singer, like they don't know what we're gonna do. So anyway, it's just very fun.
Yeah. I when I moved to Seattle, which is gonna be this year, like
Oh, cool.
you're gonna see me there. That's for sure.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. When are you
Yeah.
moving?
I am in the process of like saving money because I live with my mother currently. So I am trying to save money and then probably in the middle of the year, like just see where I'm at and then get it going.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, you got this.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I only come to Seattle on the weekends so I don't miss work and have to take PTO because you should do it on the weekend sometime.
For like festivals, we like do like weekend ones generally, like yeah, like Queer Pride, we've done on the weekends, Bumbershoot weekends, and then some other like random places we'll do on the weekends. I know that like Queer Bars like wanted us to do maybe another night, but I don't really want to like oversaturate it there. So it's just like finding the right sort of vibe for that. So it's not like if it's oversaturated, then our clients won't come, and you know what I mean? It just needs to be the right sort of thing.
Oh yeah, you got to keep it fresh all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the producer. We're both producers. You do another show with Queer Bar, Fresh Meat.
Yeah, we just started that last year. I've been like it's been in my head for a couple years just to have like a newbie show, or not just newbies, but like yeah, new performers, new acts, or like new personas. Because like sometimes you have an act that you're just like, I need to put this on stage and kind of see how it feels. So we started that, and it's been fun. So I'm excited to get that going. It starts again in February, and it's a free show, it's just an hour long. So no intermission. It starts before uh, Mothership, which is great, and that's been like fun to do and see and like have blossom.
Yeah, especially like introducing new people.
Right. Yeah, there's tons of new performers and there's like definitely a few other like shows like that in town for like new performers. There's studios Saturdays at Crumwork. There's also I think it's called A New Teas in Town, but that might be in Portland. Anyway,
Mm.
uh, yeah, having a space for like new performers to showcase is like really important.
Yeah. I I do we're coming up to 20 more minutes here. I have my stopwatch because I want to make sure we're out of here
Awesome.
on
Thank
the
you.
time that we said that we were going to be
Yeah.
on. But you know, you've worked with drag queens, obviously you've worked with burlesque performers. Um, why don't you talk about like who's your favorite to work with? Like pick a child,
Oh
essentially.
God,
Like,
no.
yeah.
So hard.
Or like maybe like just talk about like what it's like working with burlesque artists versus drag queens because like you do a lot of drag like and you've worked with a
Yeah,
lot of burlesque performers that identify as drag queens as well.
totally. Yeah. It's really fun to like see the two worlds coexist and like be working together more. Um, because they're so similar but yet really different. It's very fun to play around in both worlds. Um, yeah, I mean, working with drag queens and burlesque performers, it's both so great. It's so different. I'm trying to think of like what to say. I think what I love about drag queens is they take so much time to rehearse just as much as burlesque performers. It's just sometimes a it's just can be really different. And I feel like for drag performers, they're like turning out acts and songs consistently, right? Like they're just like, okay, what's this new meme? We're gonna make an act with that centered around the song. What's this new song that just came out? Like Beyonce's new album just got released. I'm gonna do her song tomorrow. So it's like they're able to like really create and make something so fast and just like learn a song, which to me is incredible because if I am like creating an act, I need like so much more time. Unless it's improv. And then if it's improv, I'm like, well, here we go. Um, but like learning all like the nuances to a song, that to me is like wild. And to learn that so fast is really crazy. Um, I think with burlesque performers, we sometimes tend to take a little bit more time to create an act, and then we'll like do that act for as long as we can. Like there's acts that we'll just like, okay, I'm gonna do this act again. And or use that same costume with like a new act. So we can kind of like reap the benefits of like that costume that we've like spent so much money in putting rhinestones on or paying for, adding feathers to. And I know that like yeah, with so many drag performers and like Rue girls, they're like there's so much money that goes into costuming. So I think they're using those costumes more as well. Um, but I don't really know if I'm answering your question.
No, I think you are. I think like there's strengths to both of them. I think there's a lot of similarities between the two. When it comes to like drag anyway, I feel like there's a lot more pressure in that, specifically with how popular drag is.
Right, right.
So there's like a lot more expectations when it comes to like drag versus like burlesque, which, you know, burlesque has been a thing for hundreds of years at
Yeah.
this point. So um, there's like different expectations for the both of
Well,
them. But
drag too, just not like drag race drag, but drag's been around for just as long.
oh yeah, yeah. I guess I'm talking about like it's skyrocketed in popularity. Like there's so many drag queens out there. Everyone wants to do drag.
It is wild. It's pretty amazing. It's like it's incredible to think just like the business model of like RuPaul. Like
Mhm.
it's incredible. My roomie, he went to Vegas. He's coming back today, maybe at some point. You might meet him.
Okay.
But he went to go to like a few shows with a friend, and he was going to one of the like drag race or
Drag Race Live.
drag race live. There we go. Yeah. So it's just like it's amazing. It's like the fact that like so many businesses can thrive because of this entity is amazing. Like even like going to the bar, like going to a queer bar and just like, oh yeah, well now that drag race has started up, like we're a lot busier. So it's just like, oh, like the queens are busy, the bars are busy, people are like enjoying themselves and going out just because like there's this show that's created focused in like amazing drag queens. Like how cool is that? I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it helps with burlesque too because there is a lot of overlap between the two. So like people will probably want to explore more, but with burlesque and stuff like that.
Yeah, and seeing like take for instance like Moscato. Moscato is like really is able to like fluidly go in between like drag and burlesque. They're an incredible performer, and um, I should mention Tush, which is an awesome show that happens at the Clockout Lounge. Once, well, actually, they're going to be doing it twice a month now. But anyway, Moscato is in that show. It's produced by Betty Wetter, who's an incredible drag performer and artist. And um, but yeah, like seeing people be introduced to burlesque who have never seen a burlesque show, but they've gone to a drag show and they see Moscato or they see me or they see somebody else and they're just like, oh, that's burlesque. Okay, I like that. I didn't know if I would like it, or I've just never seen a burlesque show before. Um, there's always somebody that's it's their first time, and so giving them that gift is really special. And I love being that person for
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, that was a really good example that you pulled up. I love Moscato Sky.
Yes, yeah, incredible diva, wonderful human being, like just beautiful.
hmm Speaking of Moscato, because she's kind of on the same list that you were on, 21st Century Burlesque.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this will kind of be the last question before we get into our little five question lightning round section.
Okay.
You were awarded or you were voted as one of the most influential burlesque performers by 21st Century Burlesque in the entire world. Doesn't that sound crazy to you? Like, I feel like, national, like local and stuff like that, like that would make sense, like for me, but like to be recognized on a world scale, like what was your reaction to receiving that recognition?
Oh, I was so honored. I was like really floored and just like I couldn't believe it. Like that many people casted a vote and thought that like I have been like influencing them in their in how they see burlesque, how they do burlesque, like what burlesque is to them. And so I was like incredibly honored and flattered. Um, yeah, and being on that list twice is was so it just it felt so good. So I've not really like done a lot of competitions. So I haven't had like I don't have many like awards in terms of like this princess or this queen or this and this. And I there's parts of me that want to do like the festival circuit, and there's parts of me that don't because I'm just busy here. um, but so it felt extra special to like not have done a lot of these like festivals and still be recognized for what I'm doing um, here in Seattle, but also on a worldwide stage because of like the platform that we had during the pandemic and like doing burlesque karaoke was huge. Like we had people like from all over the world logging into Zoom and like being a part of that show. It was awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, and especially in the 2 years that you were nominated for, like hearing that story about the pandemic and everything, like that's yeah, so important.
Yeah, it was really special.
Yeah. Well, I think like you are one of the most influential people in Seattle. Like when we did the VIP like me Q&A section
Oh,
of Jinx and Ben's like holiday tour. All the people there,
really?
yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. There we go. I love that shirt. I have it. Um, Everyone was like, "Oh, Jinx and Della, talk about Drag Race. You inspired me." Blah blah blah. The typical thing. And I sat there and I was like, "Tell me what it was like to work with Ruby Mimosa."
You did? Oh wait, I
I
think
did.
Ben said that after. That's
Yeah.
so sweet.
Oh my God. Like they seemed like they really enjoyed that question and they enjoyed working with you. So like you are influential.
Oh, thank you. Well, I
Absolutely.
love working with them, and it's very special. Very
Hmm.
great.
Yeah. We are coming to the end of the show, so let's get into the lightning round section. It's not really a lightning round. We're probably going to talk a little bit more, but we are getting to our 1 hour mark here, so I will make sure we're out of here very fast. Five questions I like to ask guests each and every week. Question number one, what describe a perfect day?
Oh, well, I think a perfect day would be getting up leisurely. Maybe I have like a partner with me and just cuddling for a little bit, having coffee in bed, getting up, maybe going for like a nice walk, going to see the water somewhere, going getting brunch. I love a picnic,
Ooh.
so maybe packing like a little like picnic. Playing like some board games or cards in the park or by the water. And let's see, and maybe going for like a little hike. And I think just like being outside and just like enjoying the sunshine. Possibly like hanging out with friends after in the evening and like having a drink or seeing like some live music. And going back home and cuddling up. That sounds like a nice day to me.
That honestly sounds perfect. Like you answered that question correctly, I think. Even though there's no right way to answer that question, but like
I
that
like to
was
tell people. I, sorry.
that's okay.
Oh, I was gonna say what I really want. There's like it's like more detailed, but I like to tell people my perfect day is if you were to like just YouTube Keanu Reeves' perfect day and watch that, that would be like my perfect day.
I'm gonna have to
So
look at that. I'm gonna have to
yeah,
look at that.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of like what I said, but just a little different. But yeah, I think his perfect day feels like what my perfect day would be.
lovely. Question number two. This one might be a hard one. What's a song that describes your life right now?
Ooh, a song that describes my life right now. I'm like trying to think of a song. My mind went blank. What am I listening to?
Probably Kiss.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do that. Let's do Kiss Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's describes your life right now because
That's
you're working.
yeah, let's do it. That sounds great.
Question number three. What's your third favorite movie?
Third favorite movie?
Hmm.
Okay. Ooh. My first favorite, okay, first is Singing in the Rain. Second is probably Point Break. Third, I'm gonna say Speed. I think Speed or Point Break. If
Oh,
you can't tell, I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan.
oh yeah. Like that's also a good answer. Like I don't think I would have imagined you pick Speed is on that list there.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of Keanu. I played a game called Cyberpunk 2077 and
Okay.
he's one of the main.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
I heard that he was like doing that or did that. That's so cool.
He did. Him and Idris Elba are also in it. But like you don't play as them, they're characters in the world. But
Okay.
it's like an RPG, like a role-playing game.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
He's really good in that. If you play video games, you should play it.
I don't, but I will check it out if it ever like comes into my world.
For sure. Question number four. What's your favorite ice cream topping or frozen yogurt or gelato if you prefer
Ooh,
those?
I do like, I mean, I do like whipped cream. So if I had to choose one, it'd probably be that. Yeah, yeah. I'll go
Okay.
whipped cream.
Nice. Love that. That just pretty simple. Like a classic.
Yeah.
Uh, question number five, the final question, the most important question of the show.
Okay.
Pick a side, left Twix or right Twix?
Left Twix or right Twix? I'll
Mm.
go with the left.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to ex expound on that?
Well, I'm left-handed, so that kind of like was my like first one that I thought to go for. Also, I'm definitely left-leaning in lots of ways. So,
That's very true. I
yeah.
love that. But
Wait,
good. Okay.
are they different?
I've been told, like, I guess
No.
like the commercial like makes it seem like one has more cookie, one has more caramel in it, but I don't think
Really?
that. Yeah, that's like if you have you ever seen like the bite size Twix before, you can see like it says left Twix on it. This is the right Twix. It's a whole
I never
market.
knew that. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, it was very relevant 5 years ago. I don't know how relevant it is now, but I just kept it around.
Oh my God, that's a great question. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Ruby, for being on the show. If people can't go to Seattle to see all your amazing shows, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me like to see a show, but like somewhere else in the world.
Oh, I mean, like, your socials. Like,
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's easy. You can find me on Instagram at Ruby Mimosa, also on the new Blue Sky app at Ruby Mimosa, and my website, rubymimosa.com. And you can see where I'm at. Maybe I'll be in a city coming up that's close to you. Um, yeah.
yeah. And if you're in the Seattle area, where can people often find you?
Oh, you can often find me at Queer Bar. I do a show. So Fresh Meat's on the third Thursday of the month, and Burlesque is the fourth Wednesday of the month. Um, yeah, check my calendar because I'm always in lots of different places. So
Yeah. Lots of different places, not just in Seattle, across the world. So be on the lookout.
yeah,
Not to spoil anything, but are you going to do Jinx and Della's show again this year?
I cannot say.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Even though you've done it every year, who knows about this year?
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wayward Artists, thank you for watching this lovely episode with Ruby Mimosa today. I'm working on getting a grant for this show, so hopefully the people who watch this episode really like it, the grant people, and they can give me money to get a new laptop. I'm also trying to get an award again, best local podcast in the Inland Northwest. So we're gonna campaign hard for that. And oh yeah, the other thing with Ruby, she's also gonna be in Grindhouse. This episode will come out this week before Grindhouse comes out. I promise, because I haven't uploaded the other three episodes, but I want to make sure it comes out before Ruby is shown on Grindhouse. So that's January 31st and February 1st with the legendary Seattle diva Bosco and special guest Shea Coulee, Pangina Heels, and other guests, Seattle legends like Queen Andrew Scott. Who else? Namora Amor. Uh, who are the other ones?
think Rowan is in it.
Rowan
Rowan.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another one?
Was Callie the Sally?
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're not being very good promoters for the the Seattle. There's amazing Seattle talent that's going to be
Go
there.
see
So
Grindhouse.
yeah, go see Grindhouse. It's going to be amazing. It's at the
And stream
Crocodile.
it because it'll be live streamed too.
I forgot about that. You know
Yes.
what? And it's payday this Saturday, this Friday. So you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a chance to see it.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. Yeah,
All
it'd
right.
be great.
Okay, Wayward Artists. Without further ado, it's been real.